This is a kit that I found on Amazon. I'm not familiar with it. I did a search and this came up, and it seemed to have what I was looking for. It came with a small set of tweezers in the kit, and on the screen you can see a picture of the kit as ordered on Amazon, and the version I got was Type 13. And they offer, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20 different versions. It comes with a one-sheet instructions. The English on it it's not very clear, but for the most part, the sheet's really well labeled, and it gives you a pretty good idea where all the stickers go on the drone. So yeah, that's the kit basically. The first thing you're going to want to do is clean your drone. If it's new, it should probably be in pretty nice shape, and you might not have to do too much, but you should wipe it down with the wet wipe, and then afterwards the dry wipe. That's included here. You want to make sure you have a good surface there that doesn't have a lot of oil on it, or it doesn't have any type of film on it that might restrict the stickers from sticking. And these wipes did a pretty good job. I was able to clean up everything pretty well and get it ready to go ahead and put the stickers on. After looking over the stickers and trying to decide where I would start, I thought I would start with the battery case first. It's one of the bigger pieces in the whole set, and I thought that would be easier to work with, but on top of it, the battery surface is a pretty uniform, easy shape to try to work the skin onto. And I thought that it would be a good piece to start with. So when I carefully removed it from the paper, one of the first things I did was I looked at the little notch that was in the top of it where the battery, where you push the battery to pull the battery out of the drone, and I started at that point. Now if you notice at the back, you have that little like detent type or little piece there to help pull the battery out, and the skin there will have a piece that you'll pull out of there, and it'll fit right over it nicely. Now on the sides, I noticed that after I put it on, I had a little bit of bubbling, and I was able to pull those back and stretch it along and get it nice and smooth on both sides. So take your time, make sure it's all smooth everywhere on all the surfaces. If you have to pull it back up, you can do that and push it back down, and just take your finger and make sure it's tight everywhere. But this is a good piece to start with. After doing the battery, you get familiar with what the material feels like, how much it can stretch, how you can pull it around pieces a bit. So I decided to start on the bottom, and there's some really small pieces on the bottom that you have to get in place first. One of them is the I think they're like two like electric type eyes on the bottom of the drone that it looks for the floor with, and it'll have holes in those pieces to put them on, but you'll have to carefully take those tweezers and you'll have to pull those out so you have holes through that where you can stick it on. Now the piece that I put on first is also a piece in front of that, and it has really small holes where the screws are that hold the drone together. So these two pieces take a little bit of time to do, but they were a good thing to start with on the bottom. I thought worst case, if those pieces got screwed up and I couldn't put those in, the drone still looked pretty good without those pieces in there. But they worked out good, they fit in there nice. Just take your time, push them in there, line them up good, and the way they're cut, they line up really nice on the drone. They fit well, they look really good in there. And then the next pieces I started on were the two side pieces that fit between the blades. These are a little bigger, they're a little easier to work with, and you can squeeze them in there and get them kind of tucked in, and they're not much trouble to do at all. They come off the paper pretty easily. There's a little thin section in the middle, you want to be careful so you don't rip it. But all in all, when you're using your fingers and the tweezers to help get them off there, they work well. Going to the guards on the blades though, those are some very thin pieces, and they're even notched to go around some of those brace areas that you can see there on that are on the outside edge of the blade protectors. They fit nice, they're notched nice, they line up really good. So if you get one of them lined up and you work it, take your time working around the corner, it's going to line up with the other one and it's going to work out fine. You just have to take your time on those pieces. You don't want to handle them too much, because you don't want to pull the glue off, or you don't want to make it so it's less adhesive. But you can work your way around on them, and at the same time try to make sure that you don't have any of the small air bubbles that you might get in it. And if you do, again, you can kind of pull them back off. You can work them back into that area, and you take your time, you line them up, and they look really good when you get them done. I was really pleased how well those went on, and overall they fit in nice. The cuts and the fit of those pieces really go in really well. Sometimes it's a little tough getting them off the paper. And the other thing you'll notice, if you pull it off and it sticks over part of that extra skin that's stuck on the paper, sometimes it's tough to get it off because it will actually want to adhere to it. So you want to be careful you don't get it stuck on that paper while you're pulling it off. You could end up having a little problem pulling that off the paper, but take your time, work them around there, make sure all the air bubbles are out of there, and so to this point, pretty much the bottom of the drone is finished. There's two really small pieces that go right in front of the battery that need to be put on. Those small J-shaped pieces that go right in front of the battery on either side, they're really small pieces. But take your time, get those in, because it will fill in that whole bottom side. After you do that, walk around it again, look at all the edges, all the blades, make sure it's all tucked in, make sure it's all bubble free, and then you can move on to the next section of it. The next piece is the cover for where all the basically the built-in functions read out. Also where the lights read out on the top. So you've got this really small piece that you have to take the tweezers and meticulously pull out those small little holes that they're laser cut, so they'll come out pretty easy, but you do have to take and pierce every one and pull out the little pieces before you can put it on. That means you have to handle it for a little bit, and you want to make sure you just don't simply ruin the glue that's on it. So this one's a tough one to do. You have to really take your time, pull those little pieces out so they don't get in your way, and it lines up super with the top. The control button, the option button fits in perfect, and the holes line up great. You can see that the lights look great through it, and yeah, that piece, take your time, but it's going to be worth it because it looks really great when it's put on. And then the next piece is the side pieces. I decided to do the sides because I thought that I would run those as close as possible to that upper corner where the top and the sides meet. But you want to make sure that you don't have those overlapping, because you're going to have such a small overlap that you're going to run the risk that some of that sticker may not want to stick where it's just a little bit of an overlap. So if anything, I left mine just slightly away there. So there's just a fine little gap between the top and the side pieces. You really don't notice it that much, but the side, the top fill in well and they stick well like that. On the side pieces, what I do is I line up the back corner there first, because it's a really nice even point. You can stick it to the bottom pieces and line that up, and then just I take and work it down the side. You notice on the side of the drone right there where I'm putting that on, there's a hole through where it says Neo, and you'll have to pull the little bit of skin out of that hole that's laser cut as well before you go putting that on. So then finally going to the top center piece, that piece is some really thin sections that go around and next to the basically the control panel top there. And so you'll have to take your time putting that area on first and work it back to the back. As you can see, I'm taking out, again, no little laser cut pieces there where the power button is and the DJI sticker is, or emblem on the back of the drone. But it'll work out. Now we're on the top around the propellers, and it's going to be similar to what you did on the bottom. Again, I start with an edge that I can line up to something else that's already got part of the skin on it. In addition, the piece that goes around in this area here, it's going to tuck downward because that's kind of concave there. So you're going to want to make sure you kind of center it in that strip there. So you just have to take and work it around very slowly. You might have to peel it back a few times, put it on, peel it back. But take your time, making sure it's uniform along that very thin edge. And then finally there's the larger triangle piece that lines up to the side piece and then runs in into both of those strips where they go around the propeller to kind of connect those all together. You don't have to worry too much on that where those two connect together, because when you put the guard on the top, the guard does cover in the center, so it kind of covers up where you have the triangle shaped side piece come together with the two loops that go around the propeller on that side. If also, you'll notice that when you put the guards on, they're going to clip in to the bottom side, and on the bottom side you're going to find that again, that piece you put on the bottom side, if you didn't pull those out specifically, it's going to clip in through those because they're laser cut specifically where those holes are to clip in. So the laser cut work on this is really accurate. So if you've got the stuff lined up, you should find that the guard goes on no problem, because there's going to be holes through the skin on the bottom side to accept it. So now I get both of those on, and I put both of the covers back on, and for the most part it's all done. Take a look at it, make sure there's no air bubbles, give it a good look around, and I think you'll be pretty happy with how it looks.